Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. I'm getting a bit sick and tired of these vehicle inspections doing videos because I thought you'd get bored, but a lot of people are saying there's some good interesting stuff coming out, so we're just going to do a few more here and there. Just going to quickly go through what we've seen in this engine base so far. So this is a 2012 GX 150, LC150 Prado in white, so the perfect four-wheel drive really. GX, white's easy to look after, it's nice and cool, it's cheap, like I said, the paint's easy to look after, and a GX, so it's got the most space in the back. But anyway, at around 100,000 Ks, the owner thought it was a bit noisy, so took it to get the injectors replaced, and we can see definitely evidence that that had been done. I've already refitted the clips here that were left out, and you can see some broken clamps and stuff like that, so obviously we didn't do it. The other thing we've noticed is down here around on the fuel pipes, you can see the spanner marks on the pipes, and the pipes look original, so whoever's done the injectors, we believe they've replaced the injectors and not the pipes, which is against the correct procedure. In the Bible it says when replacing the injectors you must replace the fuel pipes in bold, and we've got a number of reasons we agree with that, but we're not going to waste time on that. That's in other videos. Check out the injector information playlist. So only a few things like that. Around this side, what do we see around here? We've seen a lot of oil. So these engines don't leak oil. I think we've got a playlist or something, or a video called All the Oil Leaks, or the Oil Leaks. You can check those out or search our channel. But there's a bit of oil around the front here. There's a bit of oil around the side and all the way to the back there. All right, you can see that bit of untidy oil. These don't leak oil, so the reason there's oil coming out, and it's not a leak because it's just a sweat, it hasn't made it to the bottom yet, but you can see, it's down there, down that side there, all the way down, so it's wet all the way around, which is just untidy, and that's all caused by someone that worked on it. Other things, this is a Toyota, okay? Quality engineered. We picked the best vehicle. They've got a lot of these self-tensioning clamps on all the hoses. You'll see around the place. There's another one there, there's another one there. They're just everywhere, right? And they work really well and they don't leak. On the fuel filters here, you don't need to replace them and put clamps on like, over this side type thing. That's all happened because of the fuel filter situation. That's a separate video, isn't it? But anyway, you know about that already. Let's not talk about it. The only place there's hose clamps on these vehicles standard is on these intercooler hoses, and they even changed those on later models to a better design. But for whatever reasons, you can see it's the original hose, which is good, but the fact that the clamp, some aftermarket clamps on there, look, just not a fan. We like the Toyota engineering, like here, see no leak, and I'm going to show you some evidence why it's not a good idea. So somebody's put clamps on there. What, did they think they had a leak, or they thought they had to, or they didn't trust the other clamps? But I don't trust these ones, because see all those white drips underneath there? I don't know when that dripped and how long ago, and I'm sure it's not much, so we'll nip them up a bit for now. But the fact that they're like that, what we'd recommend is, since there's been a different clamp in a different position squashing the hoses, let's just replace the top hose and put the original clamps back on, put it back to how it was. Now the usual sort of battery stuff, not a big deal. We've just picked this up, it was down there because some extra things have been added and they haven't been cut out, so of course that important cover couldn't go on. You can see all sorts of different directions here, a little bit untidy, not a big deal, and then zip tied to the earth here, which is not ideal. You've got the positive, yep, you've got fuses there, but let's just run it straight downwards down behind here, down low under everything, and not worry about zip tying it to the negative here. So let's just try and avoid stuff like that. Make sure the battery's secure and the terminals are well connected. Yep, you got the extra fuel filter, that's that. This looks like it could do with a bit of a cleanup. It just kind of looks like it's, well, to be quite honest, it looks like it's never been washed. It's not too bad, but it's like it's never been washed, and you just get a lot of this sort of surface rust type thing. You can see down on the clamp there and on the side of things. It's just good to keep things clean. Maybe at some stage of its life, it lived near the beach, I'd say, for a few years, but it certainly doesn't now. So a little bit of debris from the trees and stuff up there, you got to be careful of that. We've mentioned before that will break down, it'll go down through the holes and end up causing some rust and stuff like that, which is not the Toyota, that's the aftermarket leaves that came off the tree, not part of the original design. Anyway, we haven't seen a lot more, just a few clips and clamps missing, and noticed. So it's a bit of a conundrum with the injectors. All the readings and everything seems fine, so we're probably not going to touch them, but then do we want to leave the oil weep, untidy oil weep like that? We know that the pipes weren't changed. The injectors, they certainly don't look like remans. They could be genuine original. Were they really replaced? There's a whole lot of question marks we don't know. We assume they probably were replaced, but when people don't put, you know, the clips back on the wiring looms and break, you know, for that one. We've got in videos, we just remove this, just push that out the rest of the way, right? That'll come out, right? Because that's broken now. So you just get that out. Right, there's the rest of that gone. What we'll do, we'll cut that off there and then just put a zip tie through the hole, right? So the clamp, the bottom section stays there. We cut this off, put a zip tie through. Show you later in the video if I remember, but I'm sure it's pretty straightforward and you get what I mean. Let's put the vehicle up in the air and have a look underneath it and see what we can find there. Okay, so underneath, hang around to the end on this one, guys, because there's going to be a really cheap, see this bash plate here, this underbody protection, whatever you want to call it, it's going to come up really cheap near Croydon, Victoria, so anywhere around there, pick up from Croydon or thereabouts. So stay tuned. It's actually going to be in Oz Prado Crew. So if you're on Facebook, on our Facebook groups, Oz Prado Crew, because this is a Prado 150, LC150. But look, let's continue this inspection for now, and we'll get to that afterwards. Now, see all the white staining of, you know, coolant leaks or something that hasn't been washed. See right in the middle there, middle of the picture, all that white stuff. Let's go around this side. By the way, Brown Davis, okay, stickers were not Brown Davis, so, you know, made in Victoria as well, near the area they're going to be actually. Local stuff. Anyway, see all that white staining, right? So I don't know if they replaced the water pump and that was from when they didn't, they haven't washed it, or if it's that hose constantly leaking. But it just needs a really good cleanup so we can see what's going on. This is what I describe as, this is all the original road grime. It doesn't go off-road, but it's never been washed. Now, one problem, if you get this bash plate, you can see where it's rubbing. You just need to give that a bend out so it's not rubbing, because that's going to make some racket, I reckon, when you hit the corrugations. But this is in pretty good condition. You might need to source yourself some other nuts and bolts to make all that work, right? There's obviously 4, 5, 6 bolts that hold it up there. Looks like it does the job. You know, you got kaon.com.au, very good bash plates. But if you're happy with this one, I think all he's going to want is your original bash plates in good condition, undamaged, a bit of a swap over and a small amount of money. I'd probably say $100, maybe less. But anyway, stay tuned on Oz Prado Crew if you're interested in that deal. Okay, so 150 odd K, original suspension once again. Overdue to be changed. The usual little sweat on the rack boot, we don't worry about that. Let's check the other side for consistency. Yep, so that tiny little bit at the bottom, not worth fixing. So if you go anywhere and they tell you, oh, you got a leaking steering rack, and they show you a bit of wetness like that, say, yep, no worries, mate, she'll be right. What's the power steering level like? Check that out. No problem. A little sweat on there, I'm not worried about that. Or the one on the upper ball joint, as we've said before. Bushes, always check these bushes out. Now these ones under here, the front ones are looking really good condition. The rear one, you can see that little split. See on the right side there, it's not too bad. It's only about 30 to 40% split, so there's quite a few tens of thousands of Ks left in that one. And this one's got about 20% split, hard to see. Over there somewhere anyway, you'll see that split starting kind of middle of the picture now. Get the light around the right way if I could, would help, but anyway, it's a bit difficult. Anyway, probably 250,000 Ks for those. Auto pan, everything looks original, some cobwebs. Like I said, the original road grime needs a good cleanup so we can sort of see what's going on, I think. Turbo's good, no oil on that. All the wheel bearings, there's no play in those. All the drive shafts. See this surface corrosion and road grime, just needs a good sort of cleanup. I believe that's what I do. I'd be cleaning and spraying and probably a bit of paint as well, you know, because that's what I'm like. So let's have a look from the back. You can see maybe they used to have a boat and backed in at the boat ramp, and you get a bit of salt spray and you get this surface rust here. That's the sort of thing I'm going to give a really good clean up and a spray, a treatment, and some, just get some black, whatever, awesome paint, and just give it a touch up, because it looks a lot better than just letting it go rusty. Rear brakes are all good. Tires are anything from 2013 to 2015 manufacture. It's 2022 now. Way too old. So see how they're getting old, and see the little crackies in the middle. They're gone hard. They're not going to wear out now. They'll be here forever. They're just basically going to be a little bit slippery in the wet, you know, and right when you need them, they could let you down. So I'd be suggesting new rubber. And as I've said in videos before, the safety triangle. Tires is the grip to the road. Brakes is what stops the vehicle, but it can only work those two together if the shock absorbers are working. That's what's in the middle of the picture there. See those old worn ones? Because the vehicle's on springs, right? Bounce, bounce, bounce. It's the shock absorber's job to do exactly that. Think about that, shock absorber, right? To keep the wheels on the ground in contact so that the tires and the brakes can do their job. That fuel hose will be fine. Again, just needs a clean up. It's a 150 so far. We haven't seen any issues. Right, so this vehicle, though, looks like they've changed the fuel filter at least once, so that's always a bonus. It's had some lube on the drive shaft, so that's good. Let's go back up towards the front, around this side. A bit of lubrication, beautiful. We're not servicing, we're just doing an inspection, right? Now that oil that we talked about at the top from that valve cover, you can see the wetness kind of like making its way down. So when you see oil down here, this time it's not even that usual plastic cap. See, it's coming from above, right? It's wetting the starter motor. That can cause issues. You got a wet starter motor, then the dirt and dust and that sticks in there. So we really want to get that valve cover leak. It's not a leak, it's a weep, but it's a messy weep. You want to get fixed up before it causes problems with other components, which adds more weight to the injectors coming out, because, you know, all the pipes have got to come off to fix the leak. And then, so it's a bit unknown with injectors. Maybe they'd go back in again, maybe they'd get new pipes and go back in again, maybe you'd go and paying all the labour, doing all the EGR clean, we're changing the pipes, might as well just put the injectors in and be done with it for the next 10 years, and you know it's done right. And then if somebody can't afford injectors, we've got a cheap set of injectors out of this car that are probably okay, and we can do what we did recently with that really cheap set of injectors. Obviously we can't guarantee them, but they're in a vehicle running fine, all the readings are good, and they're not that old. What have they done, these ones? What have these done? 40 or 50,000 Ks maybe. So bugger all Ks really, just as a matter of a job, they may get replaced. I'm just making assumptions here, I'm not saying what's going to happen. The only thing that I'm pretty sure is going to happen is this bash plate is going to go for, so one of the people that, you know, you're a bit tight on the budget, or you don't want to waste any more money than you have to, and you're prepared to deal with an older bash plate, give it a clean up, give it a coat of paint, maybe get some new nuts and bolts to bolt it onto your vehicle. It's a cheap underbody protection for the young guys that aren't loaded yet and want to go off-road. If you've got a 150 Prado with a nice undamaged set of stock standard bash plates for this vehicle that's not going off-road, keep an eye on Oz Prado Crew on Facebook, because that's where they'll be, I believe. I could be wrong, it's not me, but, and you work out the deal. Croydon, Victoria, so anywhere over that side if you're prepared to travel. I can't really see anything else here. A lot of just that little bits of surface rust and corrosion, but not a lot. So I still think it's been lived near the beach before its life in Croydon. It's not too bad, but it could just do with a clean up and a bit of treatment type thing. And there's your little oil drain hole there, look at that, eh? In case you were wondering. All right guys, that's it. If you liked it, hit the like button, you know how it works. Subscribe, turn the bell on if you haven't yet, so you don't miss the next one. And this thing mainly needs a big clean up, and the things we spoke about up under the bonnet. Thanks for watching. See ya.